Meet Fred.
Hello.
Fred's a traditional salesperson, making up to 100 cold calls a day, hoping to connect with new prospects. Like many old-school salespeople, Fred's been using cold call techniques his entire career. Unfortunately, these interruptive sales strategies are no longer effective. Prospects are no longer answering their phones, and nobody is returning voicemails from salespeople. What Fred doesn't understand is that 90% of his buyers are starting their buying journey online, and 60 to 70% of the buying process is being done without him. While Fred's quota keeps going up, his results keep going down. And that's not fun. These days, Fred's praying that he can time a perfect cold call to land a whale account. But his prayers are going unanswered, and he's losing faith fast. This is Sally. Unlike Fred, Sally's been trained in the art of social selling. Sally knows where to find her buyers online and how to provide valuable insights during their buying journey. She never makes cold calls. Instead, she deals only with buyers who have indicated that they're ready to buy and want to help in their purchase process. Sally understands that by sharing her insight and educating her buyers at the right times, she will make her solution the logical choice. In fact, she provides so much value and insight that her buyer community shares her ideas and solutions to their social networks, creating her very own little sales army of inbound leads. These new social selling strategies are making her competitors irrelevant. Unlike Fred, Sally is never stressed, and she always outperforms other sales reps by more than 20% each month.
Just what is social selling, and what is it not? The basic concept of what people are calling social selling was initially to use social media platforms as a way to connect with, engage with, and build relationships with potential or current clients. What people discovered as they tried to implement social selling was that relationship building is, as it's always been, a fairly one-on-one, person-to-person process. Merely sending messages out to a large audience does not necessarily build meaningful relationships, nor does posting some generic article or commentary online. To build relationships that might lead to a future collaboration, or for you hardcore salespeople, to a sale, you need to spend your social media efforts connecting to the individuals with whom you want to build relationships. And these efforts require attention, time, and sincerity. So don't forget, although social selling uses social media platforms, to be effective, it needs to be personal and sincere to build meaningful relationships.
If a salesperson does not learn to adapt to the changing environment that their company faces or the world faces when it comes to a digital economy, if they can't adapt to how to leverage these social tools, eventually they're going to be out of work. So the buyer's journey from the point of inception to, hey, I want to talk to a salesperson, is all over the place. What has remained consistent is what content are those buyers reading and being exposed to. If you think about how individuals have bought cars over the last decade, you used to walk onto a lot and be shown 100 different cars before you made a decision. Now, I'm surprised when anybody doesn't walk into a lot with a printout and say, this is the specific car I want. The same is true in B2B sales. So once a company says and identifies, here's a problem we need to fix, and they go on a hunting expedition. And what they're able to do is get all that information front loaded. And that's how they decide what vendor they're going to be talking to next. I've always defined social selling as how is it as a salesperson am I delivering content or value through my social channels to become of value to a wider audience, and then funneling that audience into some type of buying cycle within my organization. My idea or my methodology is that you have to have at least 3 touch points with this buyer. You have to engage with their updates. You have to listen. You have to really be interested in the things that they're sharing before you ever ask for anything from them. Because if you just come across as a typical salesperson, you're going to be treated that way. If you come across as somebody who's genuinely interested in the business or the individual that you're trying to do business with, the chances of them opening a door for you and spending 10, 15 minutes on the phone with you is going to make a lot more sense. The data continues to show year over year that social selling, that social media being used by a salesperson is increasing deal sizes, it's shortening sales cycles, and you're connecting with buyers in a very humanistic way. What you're sharing is going to have a higher engagement, it's going to be shared more often, it's going to be liked, it's going to have to be commented on, and that is going to have a network effect of spreading to an even better audience that you should be connecting with. And salespeople who adopt that mentality of visibility creates opportunity are going to reap all the rewards.
PopCon.
Hey, another episode. Am I silent?
No, you're not. I didn't screw it up this time. It's you.
We always start with a boom. So, in true PopCon style, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of PopCon's Just Like Our Show. I'm Nina, and this is...
I'm in here from PopCon. It's good to be back.
Okay. So, who do we have in the house?
I'm prepared today, guys. And Nina had to do something about it.
Okay, good job. Because I saw that you managed to unmute me, so good job on that. Okay, so who's in the house? Let us know. Give us a comment. I think we are streaming live to LinkedIn on PopCon Fest's page, as well as Facebook group, PopCon. We help you pop online, and as well as YouTube. So pretty excited to have everybody from everywhere. Now, how is everybody doing? If you have any questions or whatsoever, make sure you list down in the comment section. But most of all, say hi so we know who's in the house, okay? Now, what is happening in the PopCon verse today?
Today we are doing stuff.
Or this month, sorry.
Okay, guys, Nina is a bit like off today because she's like from morning until afternoon, she's been all over the place. She's been haywire, but today I'm a bit more grounded than it. So let's see how it goes. But then,
we have some sort of split personality because PopCon, our LinkedIn page just responded and said PopCon's in the house, and it's not me. Is that you?
That's not me. Definitely is not me.
Hi,
I did say that. Dr. Nurul is here. So let's check out who's in Facebook right now.
Hi, Dr. Nurul. Hi, PopCon fans. Because obviously
that's Josh. Josh is here. Hi, Josh.
Oh, okay. Hi, Josh. Welcome.
So Josh, in Instagram, we see
also there. Hey.
Yeah.
So nice of you to drop by. Okay, so this is going to be a really interesting episode. But before we talk about today's episode, what is happening in the PopCon verse for this month and next month? Because we're talking about our new, our new speakers coming up for next month, right?
Yes. Okay. So we have a few interesting lineup for you guys. So next week, Sujimi is back, guys. Sujimi is back in the Yes, that's right. Hey, we haven't got Singaporean this week. This week, next week.
Today's speaker is Singaporean. Now, Sujimi is really good. We're having him for the second time. Why every company should be a content creator before it's too late? Because I was going to call you guys baby because baby, this is the new way of selling, okay? What's next? So that's happening next week on the 1st, right?
Correct.
But before that, we have a killer class, right?
We do have a killer class. They're supposed to be this Saturday. Nina was supposed to be doing this, but then after that, she FFK me.
Yeah, so it's going to be doing this alone. Now, if you are interested in positioning yourself as a business influencer, then this is the start of that class. This is the start of you positioning that way. We start with the LinkedIn. And of course, it's not just about LinkedIn. If you're into Facebook and YouTube, you want to position yourself as a business leader and authority in your industry, then definitely come and join us here because we sort out your personal branding and stuff like that. Okay, so that's happening on Saturday. We'll put up the links here. Pauline's here. Yay! Thanks for watching. I thought you were punk faking us. Pauline, put the links on the classes here, okay, for people. And next, the week after, what do we have,
The week after, we are actually featuring our student.
Okay, so this is actually a free class for everybody. And in this class, we're going to be talking about maintaining customer loyalty and trust during post-COVID-19. Okay, so this is amazing because one of the companies actually did this, and one of their clients actually redeemed, guess what? A Hilux truck. That's like crazy, right? I never thought you could stay loyal to a brand and you can get a Hilux truck. So there you go. Yeah. Okay. After 2 years, you win a Hilux truck. So that is freaking awesome. So this is something, if you're interested in this and you want to retain your clients, then this is definitely the class to go. And we'll put up the links here as well.
This is going to be like only limited to 100 packs, right? So if you are really interested to know more about customer loyalty, please do come for this session. We'll put the link up soon, right? And then the week after that, for our Just Langga, we are going to be talking about Facebook.
Okay. Right? It's not really Facebook. It's actually product entry. So if you guys are interested interested in sharing your knowledge and expertise, one of the first things you need to have is a product entry. What do we call a product entry? It's basically that product which is always on. You sleep at night, you don't sleep at night, you still get money. Okay, so it's key to making sales constantly. And if you want to know more about it, this is definitely the episode that you want to watch. And then after that,
just a bit of highlight about Fidas Muntaza. We had a conversation with him. He is an awesome guy to be with. I'm now thinking about having my own always ready product just because of my conversation with him. So I love this guy.
And we are gearing to basically be writing a book as well. So because we were like, exactly. Okay, next, what do we have?
Okay, next. Then we have
it's another Nina. Nina needs to interview another Nina, obviously. Okay, so for this episode, we are talking to Nina, who's based in New York, about creating binge-worthy video content for social media. So definitely something to watch, okay? Because she works with her clients to create video and stuff like that. We want to know how she does it, so that is the episode to watch. Okay, anything else after that?
Just a warning because she's in New York time, so the Just Langgar episode for that particular week is going to be at 9 p.m.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So just sorry guys, this one late night show. Okay. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. So late night show with Nina talking to Nina. All right. So we'll have hopefully we can have a different intro for that. Okay. So moving along, what is next?
What's next?
Today.
We're going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about selling, right? That's
what it is. And what kind of salesman is it?
Salesman ala baru.
Exactly. Good job. Now, thanks to COVID-19, the days of handshakes and deals over coffee have been put on a pause. Now, if you're wondering, how do we adjust? Is it still possible to build a sales pipeline and sell in a remote and hesitant world? Well, we're here to tell you yes, because we at PopCon and our students themselves are already doing it. But rather than take our word for it, we've decided to invite executive coach and sales storytelling trainer Yasmine Khater to share with us everything that she knows about remote selling 101, where she will be sharing with us the top 3 skills that you need to sell remotely. So let's just langgar with it. Intro video,
PopCon.
Look at what Khater has to say. Nina Square. What is
Nina
that?
Square.
Is that a new spelling? Is that like something I don't understand? Let me know. Okay. So welcome back, ladies.
It's a code word or something like that.
What does it mean? Hi, Tila.
I don't know.
Okay, what's the code word? You gotta educate me. Is this like what all you what you call millennials are talking? I don't understand. Okay, so anyway, welcome back. I'm Nina.
And I'm Amin. All right. Welcome to the Just Langgar show.
Yep. So this is the show where we cover the latest on content creation, social media, entrepreneurship, and tech to help you guys position yourself as business leaders and industry authorities out there through content creation. Now, in other words, we are building Southeast Asia's business influencers and a business influencer community. So if this is something that interests you, please join us and follow us on all our social media. Now, this week, we are talking about how the old methods of selling is no longer working. In fact, apparently, did you know that there's not even a sales process anymore? Apparently, it is a buying process. Now, why do we call it a buying process?
Now it's a buying process?
Yes,
it's a buying process now? Okay.
Yes, because it's now a buyer's journey. And as soon as you hear about a product, what do? We Google it, right? We search about it. We stalk that product and see, and we read about what people are doing with it. Yeah. So by the time your customers come to you, they are already 60% into your product. They want to buy from you. And 90% of B2B buyers, believe it or not, are more likely to engage with a sales professional viewed as a thought leader in their industry. Ding, ding, ding. That's my sound effect because Amin has forgotten to put it. Okay. But anyway.
Just for you now.
Okay.
That's what happens when you talk too fast. Slow down. Try to catch up. Right?
Calm down, Amin. You need to be present. Okay. Yasmine, if you're listening backstage, normally we're more composed than this. Okay. So anyway, today at PopCon, we've been talking about social selling even before COVID-19. And in fact, COVID-19 just made it super worse. Yeah, this whole thing. So you know what this means, Amin?
No, I don't. Tell me.
Okay, it means that we at PopCon have become digital prophets. And what that means is that all you all you people better subscribe, follow, and like to PopCon on all our social media. I mean, I believe you have the
Yeah,
slide
betul.
for it.
Here you go. Come and join
Come
us,
and
guys.
join us. Okay? Now, so welcome to the world where if you cannot meet in person, but you can still sell. It's called remote selling, and we have the perfect speaker for this who will be sharing her top 3 secrets on how to sell online and what you need to sell online. Now, before we intro you to the speaker, if you're joining us for the first time, please make sure you hit the comment section if you have any thoughts or if you have any questions, okay? Because our episodes are just very chillax. Now, who is our speaker today? She has actually helped leaders use stories to stand out, attract more customers, and all the while inspiring their team and growing their business and careers. Now, for the past decade, she's worked with senior leaders in over 75 MNCs and governments, and she's taught thousands of entrepreneurs how to use stories to sell. She is also the lead researcher at the Sales Story Method. She runs the Sales Fit Lab online to support leaders sell with ease and without sleaze. I like that. Sell with ease and without sleaze. And to help leaders unleash their courage and share their story, you want to check out her 30-day Fearless Challenge. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the mother of not dragons, but rather the mother of selling with ease and without sleaze, Yasmine Khateer. Woo! Hello, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
You guys are hilarious. I love this.
Really? Okay. Well, we say screw it at the front, and then the rest of the episode will be perfect. Okay.
I think part of it as well is the fact that it's very normal, and like because of this whole online world, the more normal you become, people like you more because it's like, oh, it's like I mess up too, and I forget to make it perfect.
Exactly. So we kind of sometimes make ourselves look silly so that people will see and then they'll become comfortable, and that's when the learning happens, because when you're having fun and you're being yourselves and embracing yourself for all that you are. So that's what we believe in anyway. Yeah? Okay, so if you have any questions, before I ask Yasmine some questions, please make sure you put it in all the comment and stuff like that, and we'll read it out. Okay, so Yasmine, first things first, can you, in your own words, share with us a little bit about yourself, how you started, and what you do today to help businesses?
So I started selling when I was actually 11. So it's not something I did. Yeah. So my father had lost his job. He was unemployed for 3 years. So my mom was like, if you want to buy something, you got to sell something. And at the time I was making paintings. So she's like, okay, sell your paintings. I'm like, what do you mean sell paintings? And I got selling into that. And from going from being very shy, I realized unless you ask, you never know the answer. And oftentimes just by asking, magic happens. So it's kind of funny that like 20 years later, probably more than 20 years later, I am doing this and I'm helping people do the same thing. And it all comes from the fact of just asking and trying as a fundamental. But I studied a degree in psychology and communication. So for me, it's just like, how does the brain work? Like how does the brain get influenced by some things and some other things are like, ugh. So for me, like the biggest thing is like researching about trust and how do we build instant trust in order for us to close the sale much faster, easier, without having to feel inside a bit like icky or anything, just because it comes so natural. This is the best thing that we have for our customers.
Okay, that sounds fantastic, because really we don't want to be that what would you say, selling with sleaze kind of thing, because everybody doesn't want to be sold to. The moment you say, oh, I'm a salesperson, everybody runs out the door, right?
Yeah. And that's why I think also a big part of it as well is that, especially with entrepreneurs, is like they say they want to make more money, but the problem they don't realize is unless you're selling, it's really hard to make more money. So social selling is great to get people in the door, but you still have to go on and close the sale depending on what you're offering. So the reality is you have to learn that. And for me, I had a bit of a lucky head start because I read the book by Tim Ferriss a long time ago. And at the time I was working in oil and gas and my job was so boring. So I ended up launching I was a digital nomad for 3 years, traveling around the world, selling to over 25 countries. And I was doing remote selling before it became something that was important. So that's now kind of funny that like we're going back to like, oh, the fundamentals are still the same.
So what were you selling at that time?
So I was first selling just coaching services. I sold programs. I sold products. It was just like a bunch of things. And then I got to a point where I was tired of the traveling. So I came back home, launched a video production agency, and then realized actually I love the teaching. Like for me, this is the part where the magic happens, when I see my students' lives completely change, and then they're what they see as possibility also changes. So the end, that gets me very excited. I think also the same thing for you. When you see someone studying and realizing, wow, like career can be so easy, business can be easy. Once I build my social brand, you're like magic bombs are like choom, 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 choom.
Yeah. We now have that laugh whenever we learn something new, and we're so excited and we want to share with the community. Amin has his laugh. Can you demonstrate that laugh, Amin?
Which one?
Yeah. So I go, kind of thing. So we both have that laugh kind of thing. So it's different, but it's usually when we find something new, we're like, kind of thing. Insert evil laugh.
But Yasmine, you're my new best friend now, because I also like the whole traveling thing and becoming a digital nomad. So we gotta talk.
Yeah, but he's tired of it now.
Also cyclists, we have a bond. That's it.
We have a bond. Touring bicycle? Touring cyclist?
I toured in countries. I even cycled in the world's toughest mountain bike race. Not relevant, but cut offline.
Okay, cut offline. I'm going to talk about this, right?
Okay, I think you need to share with the audience that you also cycle, and where do you cycle? Just a little bit, so that they know the context.
I've basically cycled all the way to Thailand on my bicycle, and just me and the bicycle for 1 year plus. That's it. That's what I did. So it's cool. It's a cool start today. Yeah.
Actually, just to share with you, he was planning on traveling the world, and then PopCon happened, and we're like, "Hey, hello, come back." So, and then COVID-19 happened. So yeah. So and Pauline saying something. What is Pauline saying?
She said, "Don't leave me to."
She doesn't want to be with me. Not nice. Okay, anyway, so back to the question. So let's get to the basics. What do you mean by remote selling? And I understand now that it's not the same as social selling. So what is the difference, if you can share with us?
So for me, like with social selling, all we're doing actually is priming our customers in terms of what is a problem and that we know some of the answers, right? It's about how do we make sure that we're building trust over and over again consistently, like you're doing with the podcast, where people are listening to me like, oh my gosh, they totally get it. Like this, they totally understand where I'm going from. But what's happening right now with COVID is some people don't know how to close those sales. So once you do that, you get all the leads. What happens afterwards? And that's why today more than ever, it's that things can be optimized. So I think that the fundamental thing is always realizing that it's also now about systems, and systems more than ever, because you want the customer experience to be seamless. And that's why like we have great software, whether it's scheduling, whether it's onboarding, whether it's even like giving them value before they even get on actual call with you. So that at the point they have the call, they're like, oh my gosh, like the call can be even 20 minutes long because they've already been pre-sold on all the options. And then also from there as well is like, how do you also filter and qualify the leads faster instead of wasting your time? And then the last thing as well is making sure that when you're communicating, it's not from an angle of pitching, but it's an angle of handling objections through stories.
Right. Okay.
Right.
We're hearing that consistently now, where you handle the objections through stories. That's amazing. Okay. Do you have something to say, Amin?
So basically, this is like social selling is just part of what you're talking about, right? It's just like a small function of it. It's like an icebreaker. It's like an intro. That's it.
Like a big thing.
Well, social selling is like, it's just a qualifying of candidates, right? Of who is actually the right to speak to. So if someone, for example, is interested in learning about a supply chain, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, now I have to figure out how to distribute my product all over Malaysia, all over the region. I'll be hearing, maybe for example, someone was talking about supply chain and like the mistakes that you'll make in Malaysia for, distributing products overseas, all these things. And I'm interested in that space. So if I'm interested in that space, I'm already thinking about how this will work for me, right? It's not like random. It's gonna be like hanging out and watching like videos because I want to watch videos. People are doing that because how the brain works is the brain is driven by the part where we need to like have problem solved, right? So if you want to hear the brain, you want to talk to the utility part of the brain where it's flight or fight. And the more we approach it from the problems that people are having, it becomes like, yep, that's me. Yep, that's me. And it's also like that becomes the first gateway of like, hey, if you want help, schedule a time to speak, right? And then not only that, it's like, just because I have to speak, why don't you fill out a form so I have an understanding of who you are, right? So when we get on the call, it's like really qualified in terms of this person, this company's nice, whatever they're struggling with, I can help them. Instead of wasting time by getting on the call trying to figure that all out, we can go ahead and do that more effectively. And the next level of that whole experience is like, how can you even make it next level where you offer them like a mini training before they get on a call with you? So you educate them about the options that they have. And at that point, they're going to be like, oh, I really want to talk to Nina right now, or Amin right now, because they totally get it. And then when they get on the call, at that point, it just, at that point, they're already going to buy. But they want to have objection. So probably like about 10% before they cross over and give you the credit card and so forth. So how do we make sure that it's super built up where it's like, like that makes so much sense?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So basically what you're saying is that by the time they are ready for you, most of the objections has already been handled, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right? And they're just like, here you go. I'm just going to give you the credit card. Just a little bit, maybe a few questions, and that's it.
Yeah.
Would that be the way to do it? Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Because that's so cool.
Yeah. That's what some of my clients were like saying, like, how do you get rates of 80%, 9% closing rate? And I'm like, because at the phone call, it should not be worth starting a journey. For an SME, most people at that phone call can be already buyers converted. The whole way of like, let's meet up, I want to answer your problems. You can already qualify all those things by a variety of different things, and having systems in place to make it seamless.
Right. Okay. So let me just get this straight. So remote selling, is it just for small businesses, employees, or it's for everybody? Everything.
Everyone.
Okay.
But usually what happens with bigger companies, they already have that infrastructure in place. So it's a little bit different. But I find with like the smaller ones, they don't think about that. And then the last thing with remote selling as well that's really crucial is that 55% of communication is body language. Right? 55%. So when you're having remote selling, you have to adjust the way you speak. If you are going into a meeting like this, like you would have done in real life, you've lost the person, because through a screen, your energy is 50% even lower than what it would be in real life. So having in mind, you have to now push up the words that you're saying and push up also the voice change as well, right? So which is why I think you guys, because you guys are going in and you guys are so passionate. So I talk to you and I'm just like, oh yeah, like I want to hang out with people going to push me up energetically. Versus, for example, going to a meeting and be like, no, but I'm not that high energy. It's like, yeah, cool. But right now is the time where you need to change and vary. I don't know what that word means. Variate the tonality of your voice to keep people engaged, because people are typically on their screens back to back, hours to hours. And when they speak to you, you want to get to the point where you're making them feel like, oh my gosh, I feel like they're finally going to be a way to fix my problem. It's going to be finally a way. This person's going to be amazing to hang out with. And that's also we can learn in terms of understanding the brain, how to build instant faster, and being able to cut through objections to telling the better stories.
Right. Okay. So how? Okay, go on. I mean.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, because you were saying something about infrastructure. And just for the benefit of people who have no idea what infrastructure is, can you give an example? What do you mean by infrastructure?
So in terms of like just the buying experience, right? So oftentimes, because we're used to before February this year, just scheduling a meeting, going, traveling, having a coffee, and all these different things. But now we want to literally, because people are so exhausted because of this whole pressure of change, their brains are having a lot of pressure. We want to make it easy for them. If I'm calling up Amin, it's like, I want help now. You want to be able to book a meeting within seconds, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be like, hey, are you free on Tuesday at 5 p.m.? No, I'm free on Wednesday. You free on this day? And then you go back and forth, and then you end up doing that. You want to make it seamless, because in the end of the day, you're doing other stuff. So how can we build that infrastructure? They could even go next level by like, how can you actually educate someone before they actually get on the call with you? How can we have like the reminder sequences? How do we also, for example, if you're using software, educate your buyer on how to use the software, right? we're going to be hosting this meeting on Zoom. Here's how to use Zoom. Click the link, press the button. It sounds really basic, but how do you make sure that it's super seamless, that when a buyer is on the phone with you, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, these people are so easy to work with. So before they even give you the money, they're like already seeing that you've built the infrastructure for them to make it easy. And even, for example, they say yes to you. How do we also build a system where we're automatically going ahead and we're sharing them? Like, here's the next steps. Here's how to do this. And already giving them massive value and wins from the very beginning. So the rest of the whole experience, they're going to be like, this is a no-brainer. I've already made my money back without even like actually doing the service yet or buying the product yet.
Okay, that's fantastic. Just to take a step back, how does remote selling actually work? It's because I think we've got new people who are coming in here. So it's all these stuff which are in place, right? The infrastructure and stuff like that. And also about knowing how to communicate. So it's two things?
It's two things. And then also in terms of just realizing that we're no longer in an era where we can pitch, right? The pitching era is gone. Like that one is gone. And what's interesting, because I train sales teams in very big organizations, and these guys are selling the enterprise level solutions, so like quite big accounts, and they're just saying, I want to improve my pitch. And I'm like, you don't understand. The days of pitching is over. We're going into making sure that we are understanding, we are listening. Like the day to day, I feel like the number one skill in remote selling is actually listening. Are you listening to two things, right? The first level is to the story the customer is not even speaking out loud. Yeah. And the next level is to what they're actually saying. Like, so in the end of the day, like for example, I was speaking to a senior leader, and he was saying, you know, it's in my culture, we don't like speaking up. And I'm like, okay, so your inner story is that I don't like to speak up. That's your inner story. So I have to hear those words to be able to say like, okay, that's fine, but how's that serving you? You know, what's happening with you and your clients right now? How is it, for example, for your conversion? And he's like, oh, not that great. I'm like, great, that's cool. That's your inner story. And then the second level is like, how do you actually improve the way we go ahead and make someone feel like this person gets me and so forth.
Okay. So it sounds like, so again, so the selling process is no longer around. It's the buying process now, because the selling process is the buying process. Okay, makes sense. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions here that I would like to look at. I think Tila was the first one to say, I'm in a scenario where I'm starting a new business with zero selling experience. What is the most important point to ensure I can influence, convince the sales lead and close it?
So the thing is that I find that most people who are starting businesses don't realize the fundamental thing to do is to build an amazing offer, right? It's like, should be an offer that you're building that's objection debunking from the very beginning. So one of my clients that I ended up working with an SME during lockdown. She was working with leaders working with health influencers to build membership sites, right? And she was using like very esoteric terms. And I'm like, why don't we simplify it? I'm going to help you get 1,000 members on a membership site within 10 weeks, right? Very simple, very quantifiable. We do the math. 1,000 members times by typically $25 is how much, right? So already before she even makes the offer, the value is there. And I'm like, can you even go above and beyond? Can you offer a money back guarantee? She's like, yeah. And like, but then she got very specific, like, who are my actually ideal customers that I can only work with to achieve that kind of results? So for you, Tila, with your business, what problem are you solving and for who? And before you actually go ahead and start selling, you have to build an offer where your customers are like, this is a no-brainer. This is like literally like, give you my money, I'll get more money back, right? So, or like, I'll give you the money and I'll have a problem solved. So in the end of the day, even if you have no selling experience, if you're able to think with compassion about your customers' real problems, not only on an external level, like numbers, like for example, like I use like 1,000 members within 10 weeks, but also in terms of internally, how will they feel? Because the guy that I use as an example, he's been feeling stressed out. He's been feeling as he's progressing his career, he's hitting a barrier and he's worried, especially now, that he'll lose his job. right? That's his inner fear. If I'm listening to both that external and the internal dialogue, I'm showing up, not having to convince anyone, but having to say, like, how important is it for you to progress in your career? And you'll be like, oh, it's so important. He's convincing himself. I don't have to convince him. So you have to also look at the fact, like, how can we listen to those different levels of conversation? And how do we use an offer that's really amazing? Because for me, the key thing is, like, when you're building an offer, you're
we missed you. Couldn't hear you. Are we having that problem again? Okay, so this is a commercial break. So we hope that answers your question while we wait for her to get back online. Okay, in the meanwhile, the next, okay, she's back. There you go.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
So weird. Anyway.
I know. So we, every time you go there, we'll just go into commercial break. Okay, so go on. You were saying?
Yeah, so Tila, it's like you have to look at your offer as being able to generate at least 10 times more return. Because if you get an offer at least 10 times more return, it becomes a no-brainer offer. And no-brainer offers sell. Like, for example, at the moment, I launched an entry-level product, like you mentioned that the guy said. And the product that I have is worth $37. But it's designed to help you get your first 3 clients, right? So it's so simple. It's $37. We made your first 3 clients. Most people's first 3 clients will get them more money than the money that I'm asking. And that's the whole point, is like when you start building offers like that, they sell. They sell because you are promising on something that's specific, but you're also addressing that inner dialogue as well, the inner story.
Okay, got it. I mean, do you have any questions to do that?
I know. You want to go to the next one first? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
It sounds like when you're talking to that client, it sounds like you're right. You're listening to his inner voice and what's not being said, and you're listening and you're asking all the right questions. You're actually becoming a coach. Sounds like it, right?
Yeah, and I'm a therapist by background, so I feel like you're doing therapy and sales calls. And the moment you shift towards that, you're like, you become this place. Because for me, like when I look at sales today, to succeed at sales today, on one level, you have to be a journalist.
How?
And it's because you have to tell your customers what's happening, right? You have to educate them of what's going on, like what you're doing right now. You have to educate them that, hey, if you get people come to buy, 60% of the time, they've already pre-decided before they even come to talk to you, right? So you have to be like sharing what's happening. If a customer is coming and saying, hey, I'm struggling with digital transformation, right? You're like, most of my clients struggle with the exact same struggle. And the one big thing that they all struggle with is 1, 2, 3, whatever that may be. The second element of it, you need to look at it as a way that you are a lawyer, right? Because the first level of a sale is actually not your solution. The first level of a sale is what problem are you solving and why is that important? Because, for example, like for me, like when I work with a team, I am building the case that if you become a better storyteller, you will connect more and sell more. So before I offer my program, I'm basically saying, would you not agree that right now more than ever, it's important to connect with your customers? And they're like, yes. And like what's happening right now is because people don't know how to communicate and use stories more efficiently. And at that point, they're already bought into it. They've already been like, okay, amazing. Your models make sense. Everything makes sense. And then I say, would you like help? And they're like, yes. I'm like, great. I have the sales story lab and I can help your teams to go ahead and do that. So it's just very simple in terms of the process. And the third level that's really important for today is that at the very end, once you build a case and you've been able to do that, you need to be a trusted advisor, like a doctor. We have to say like, hey, based on what you're doing, I recommend that you do this. And I think most people are shying away, but at the end of that whole experience, if you can actually help them and they're actually a qualified lead, you have to tell them that. Because oftentimes right now, people don't know what to do. So don't tell them you have 3 options, right? Great, that's one way to do it, like 3 options. But like for where I see you right now, what you have to do right now is do this. So for example, with Tila, right now, I recommend you to go ahead and build an offer. And if you don't know how, I have a great product for that, right? Very simple, nothing else. Because if you're a doctor, you have no reason to be upset about whatever people say. Because at the end of the day, like, I know what's best for you. If you don't want to hear my experience, That's your choice, but that's okay as well, right?
Not just saying, no, just kidding.
Look at it this way, like, because if you've done the work, you build like an amazing offer, like a no-brainer offer, and you can actually identify 10 times the return of that offer. At that point, you are the prize. You have figured out a solution that people freaking want. And if they don't want it, that's okay. I'm not upset about
your
it.
market anyway. Yeah.
So
we've got someone tuning in from South Africa, Lisa. Hi. Oh my God. Hi. From Joburg. That's so nice.
Yeah. I have a question though. I would like to know more a little bit. I would like to know more about your thought process in terms of creating an offer. What do you have? Yeah. What comes to your mind, and what would be like the ideal way in terms of what offer can I actually give to my customers?
So before I answer that question, I'll give a bit of context, right?
Yeah.
So the key thing is always about the brain and what the brain wants to hear. And people oftentimes think that trust is built over a long time, right? If I ask you that question, how many of you agree? No, right? But most people in every class I'm ever in, they always believe that, right? And the problem with that is if you believe that, you're building an offer that had that in mind. So what's really important at actually first level is realizing the psychology of someone. When they meet you, trust for you is high. They're like, oh my gosh, like I've been following them. They're great. I've heard them speak. They're great. It's amazing. But then as you get to know their problem, right, what their problem is struggling is, they automatically in their brain go down like a cycle where they're like, it won't work for me. I've tried everything. It doesn't work for me. I'm not that kind of person to get the results. My company, my team, my whatever, it won't work for me. And it's up to you to go ahead with the offer as well as the messaging to be able to debunk that, right? And then from there, they go back up. They're like, oh my gosh, that's great. This is amazing. This is amazing. And then they go back into the state of like, but will it really work for me? This sounds really good, right? It really sounds so good. And then the last part of it, but maybe I can go somewhere else. Maybe it's cheaper somewhere else. And then looking at competitors. So creating an offer, you're following the same structure. You first have to qualify them by starting off with what the problem actually is, right? And again, you have to have your hat of journalist where you're kind of sharing with them that you understand their pain, their struggle, everything they're going through. The next level of the offer is just saying, what do you want to achieve, right? And I call the model the dread to the dream, right? The dreads are happening. The dream is what you want to get to. Fantastic. And then all we do is we share. This is my program. This is my offer. This is my LinkedIn training class. This is whatever it may be, right? And then the next level, because remember, like they're going back in their head, like why it won't work, is you want to give them more details. You want to actually take them, hold their hand, and say, this will happen next. We're going to do this. You want to use examples of people who are just like them, who have been struggling, that you've helped overcome, right? And the examples have to be diverse. It cannot be the same. It cannot be everyone from Malaysia, everyone who is 25 years old. It got to be like the 50-year-old man, the 20-year-old person. Like, I don't know what you're offering as a service. I'm giving you random examples so that regardless of industry, all these things, you're addressing that. And at the very, very end is like, you have to explain why you versus anyone else, right? And then at the end, you got to ask. And then from there, you're going to ask. You got to be like, any questions? What do you need help on? How can I help you? At that point, you're like, the friction is still 10% because people are still going to be like, right? And if you drop the ball there, you're missing out on lots of clients you can actually work with. And most people, the last 10% where the magic is, they're like, okay. It's like, really? Okay? Like, you spent all this time. You're socially selling. You're building your brand. You're getting people at the door. You build a system, infrastructure, and then you just drop them at okay? Like, what does that mean? Like, you are an advisor. You are a doctor. You don't tell your people like, oh yeah, go ahead and die, Ken, right? No, you tell them, hey, I would love to help you. Like and you hold space for them to go ahead and do that.
Okay, I have a question. How many % of people actually just say okay instead of you got to do this?
How many?
Yeah,
the majority. So there was
like how many? Like 80%, 70%?
Yeah. So they were saying like I remember who said this, but they said like in sales, the majority of sales happen at the 5 to 7 touch point, right? Most people give up after second touch point.
Right? Wow, really?
most people, the majority, over 9% of people give up a second touch point. Because, for example, if you're a small business owner, you're like, I don't want to push them. I don't want to be like I don't want to be annoying. If you have a solution that is going to change the world, will you just give up? Will you show up week after? No. If that's the case, your offer is still shit. Because for me, like, customers, they leave and they're like talking about their offer all the time. They're so excited about their offer. Like, even, for example, in Circuit Breaker, I made a card game, right? And I love the game. It's freaking amazing. We've sold 300 copies of the game. Today I'm at the beach. I'm having a day off, and I meet a guy, and he's like works in retail. I'm like, okay. And I'm talking about him and getting into like online shops, and it's because I love it. Like, I love it because I know the value is going to give to my customers. So I don't have it. I'm not apologetic about sharing about it. I'm not shy about sharing about it because I know the value people will have by getting it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think like for us with our class, we're like really clear because we know people will get so much benefit out of it, that we're like, no, you gotta go, just trust me, you gotta go, kind of thing. Yep. Okay. All right, so that was a question from Harith, actually on Facebook. He's saying, what do you mean by addressing rejection through story?
So when I look at objections, what happens is people will do two things, right? They will say, no, we're different. They'll like address it by like just saying no, right? But another way that I find is much more effective is what I call the triple Ds, right?
Okay.
And the first level is you want to diffuse it. You want to acknowledge that whatever they're concerned about is a valid concern. I understand that what you're going through is a hard decision to make. I understand I'm asking you to look at things very differently. And then you want to share one of my other clients, and the client should look like them, sound like them, same size, same everything, had the same concern just like you. Right? The same way that they share, you want to repeat it there. But they were looking at how to go ahead and solve the dream state, right? Where do they want to go? And they were looking at assessing 3 different options. Option 1, do nothing. Option 2, do something else. Option 3, work with us. So do nothing at this time, like COVID right now, is not a good thing to have because we don't have the luxury of doing nothing. Would you agree? And they're going to be like, yeah, like, oh my gosh. So instead, they considered working with this provider versus us, and they picked us. And as a result of doing that, we were able to achieve whatever you achieved with them. So you're not telling them, I understand, okay, and walk away. You're helping them realize, I understand you, I feel you. I'm going to give an example for you, and then you can decide. Because I'm going to walk you through all the options you have that my other client had to do as well. And if you can, but you could choose. You can choose to be not a winner or a winner in the situation. You don't say that verbally, but you're insinuating. And at that point, they're using the story to be like, oh, yeah, I don't want to have that happen to me.
Okay. So basically, you're addressing what objections could come out in the form of storytelling without them even realizing that you're debunking their objections, right? Kind of thing? Because it's like a storytelling thing. Yeah.
It's a storytelling thing, right? So it's crucial as well. Yeah.
Yeah, hope that makes sense for you, Harith. We've got Lisa, who's joining us from Joburg in South Africa. So she's saying that this was much earlier about what you said, that she's a lawyer, that she asks a lot of questions, but it's the only way that she knew how to understand the business better. And she also says that the ability you have to hear people's inner story, that definitely is an acquired skill, which is true, right? Yeah.
I don't know the way I teach it. I make it simpler because I already know what the typical stories are. So I give like the archetypes, and then people start to pick them up much faster. Because I think the problem is if you're not actually hearing and I look at them as 2 structures. I look at them as one as a formal, like the external stuff, and then the eternal one. And the eternal ones are really fundamentally 6 core ones that have different variations of it. And once you know what the 6 core ones are, it makes it a lot easier to go ahead and to use it to craft a better story.
Right. Okay. Now, before we go into the next section, which is the how-to, I guess, what's the one thing that a lot of people get wrong about remote selling?
So many, actually. I think they get.
Give as whatever many you have.
Most that I see it happen oftentimes is that they haven't built a process, and as a result of it, they kind of are in frantic mode, and they use excuses on themselves by saying that no one is buying, and the reality is it's like actually it's because you don't know how to sell online. It's very different. So that's a mistake that I see happen over and over again. And like I've been doing a series of webinars, which is the same webinar called How to Sell When No One Is Buying. And everyone at the end of it is like, actually, I never thought about mapping out like that. That makes so much sense because you're able to see it a bit differently than you would have seen it if you didn't do that. And second thing as well is not saying the numbers as well, because they oftentimes, because like when you're in a meeting face to face, you feel like you're moving all the time, but online it just feels a little bit less connected. And then the third thing that I see also happening as well is thinking a trust takes a long time to build. So they use trust as an excuse. And like, oh yeah, I have to meet them like 4 times. Nobody has time for 4 times today. Like people want to figure out things much faster, much easier, and get things done faster.
Okay. Sarkuna Matata, I hope you're listening to that. Okay. Okay. So next question. Now, okay. So now that we know that remote selling and social selling is it, I'm convinced I need to do this. How do I get started? What are the important steps to take?
So the first step, the most crucial step, is relooking at your offer. For me, most offers that I see is very vague. And if you are looking to get better results, you want to leave anything as generic. You want to go ahead and get that offer done and look at the offer again with the 2 levels, that inner narrative and the external narrative, because that way it becomes much more important. The second thing as well is you need to also know how to be able to communicate online through video, right? Because if you're looking at mine, that 55% of a sales process happened with body language. That means we're getting on a call and we're not having that luxury of seeing, for example, what Nina is doing. And we're not able to pick up as easily people's micro expressions, right? And psychology, micro expression is basically you see someone, you're like, oh yeah, like she's worried, I can pick it up because you have a screen in between you. And many people, for some weird reason, are having meetings with no screens, right? So even removing that opportunity of having that. So that's something that's really crucial, is because at this point, more than ever, it's about being able to feel comfortable changing your tone, right? Because in the end of the day, you are there to go ahead and do that. And also another thing as well is like learning how to speak on camera. So looking at the screen, looking at the camera, like now we're on a podcast, so I'm getting a bit distracted. But when I'm in a meeting with someone, I'm looking at that lens. I'm like there, right? Because I want them to feel that I get them, I understand them, and I hear them. And then from there afterwards is building the right kind of infrastructure, as I mentioned earlier. And just realizing from the pre-sales process to the onboarding process, how do you make it so seamless that your customers are like, oh my gosh, like this is the easiest person to work with, right? From the contracting to the invoicing to be like, wow, so nice. Like my other providers are so bad at this that like it's so seamless, it's so easy. And the thing is, like, to do this stuff takes time, but the reaps and the rewards are amazing. Because in the end of the day, people will choose to work with you again and again because it's easy to work with you versus it's hard to work with somebody else.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So number 1, look at the offer. Number 2, learn how to communicate online because it's a completely different medium. And one of the things is you want to get your camera on so that people can see your body language. You want to know how to speak and you want to know how to transfer that energy across. And number 3, it's about having the right infrastructure in order to support your sales process so that it becomes seamless. Is that right? Okay, cool. Now, in terms of I suppose that sort of answers the same question as in the prerequisites or key components of remote selling, right? For successful remote selling. Okay, now I have a question. The first part, which is, I forgot what the first part, that's how fast my brain moves, but let's go to Lisa's question first. You mentioned that being more vibrant in your online meeting now that pitching is over. Can you share a little bit more about being vibrant online and how to speak online and some tips that you can share?
Yeah, so we want to look at our buyer, right? And you look at our buyer today, even ourselves, our energy level, now that we're having calls back to back, has gone lower, right?
I agree.
For us to be able to influence someone, we've got to realize that the human brain hates change. The human brain likes doing the same thing over and over again. So you want to shock your brain by interrupting their patterns, right? So instead of, for example, just like going in and just being like this, if you go in with a bit more enthusiasm, the person is like, what is going on? I'm confused, right? So just by doing that and by varying it is very important. I think also more than ever, it's like knowing more about the person you're speaking to personally makes it easier to build rapport. That's why before you go out to any meeting, stalk the person. Like we did that in meetings before.
When
but
you
now,
say stalk,
stalk.
STALK. Okay.
Stalk the person.
Okay.
I'll give you an
People get
example.
offended when I say stalk. Like to me, it's common language now. I say, yeah, I'll stalk you on LinkedIn. I'll see what you're up to, and they're like, ugh.
Like, I'll give you an example.
Program.
Like one of my prospective clients, which is going to happen already, I'm sure of this. I looked online, and he had like a campaign where he's doing a cycling crowdfunding campaign, right? So we got on a call, and I've done that before. I've raised for like a nonprofit in Timor-Leste $50,000, right? So we talked about how my experience was raising that much money for a social cause. And he, at that point, he's already finding that I like you, right? Because we have something in common. So like and like. So how can you go ahead and build that? And then you're going in with a bit more energy. And all this hacks about energy. And that's why, for example, you have to prime yourself to become more energetic. That's why people don't realize to become more effective at selling online or offline, you need to have a daily routine to boost your energy. So for example, for me, at the end of every day, I have my practice of gratitude. I'm like thinking about, I'm so grateful for everything. How lucky am I to do what I get to do? In the morning, I think about, the impact I want to create. So I'm already in that space. So I talk to a customer, like I like my goal is always to do that. Like even with the conversation, I'm offering value, right? Mm-hmm. Whether you buy or not, I don't really care. I'm gonna make money in it, right? So if you go in with that mentality, people are drawn to that because they're realizing she really just only wants to help me. So therefore, if she only wants to help me, then what happens in human psychology, I want to be able to let her help me because you want to try to like giving me so much value. I want to give you money back. I want to work with you. I want to do all these things. So that's what I mean, Lisa, with regards to like being more vibrant is the best analogy I have for this is that people's battery is like low and you got to be that charger, right?
Okay, that's such a good analogy.
Right? They're going to be like, oh, they're like, and you can see that on a call, like their body language would change. Where they're like, "Oh my gosh, like that's so exciting! Like I'm so excited," and they get excited mode. Not everyone is that level of excitement. I'm exaggerating, but you can see them shift body language. You can see them getting because they're already feeling, "Oh, okay, wow." Another option.
Okay, Yasmine, the more I speak to you, the more I'm stressed because the modern salesperson is a therapist, a psychologist, is an actor. Well, I guess in a way because to know how to speak online.
I would simplify. So I always use the analogy: you're a journalist by giving the people updates about what's happening in the
therapist.
You're a lawyer.
Ooh, how is it a lawyer?
Because you're building the case of why whatever you're having is better for them. So, for example, in your case, LinkedIn, people come to you when they're they're 60% sold before they come to you, right? You're building a case. You're using facts, figures. You're building the case for why social selling is important. And then the last thing is you have to be a doctor, right? So the doctor is where you recommend, you advise. So that's what I look at. The three core skills are those skills.
Okay, got it. And also you got to learn how to bring up your energy. So you know how to speak kind of thing.
And that's why why I love sales, which is the best thing ever about sales, is I look at sales as how can we tweak our process, right? And maybe, for example, you don't have a great infrastructure, so you're only closing at 20% of your sales. That's great, right? And then you improve your infrastructure process and you have an easier process and you go to 35%. That's also great. And then you go ahead and improve your energy. That's also great. So it's never about having to do everything at one time. That's why it's a journey. It's about taking the steps and improving and tweaking over time, which is why I said the first step is always the offer first, and then afterwards track the numbers, right?
Yep. Okay. Fantastic. Lisa is saying thank you so much. She loves it. Manisa Saruji, I don't know if you know her personally, but she's saying hello, Yasmine.
How are you? I know you.
There you go. Awesome. Okay, I have a question. For people who lack the structure, is it expensive to incorporate a structure, especially for SMEs or a solopreneur? Can you share with us a little bit?
So, like the basic thing you can do is a scheduling tool, and like there's tools like Calendly that are for free, right? Not even pay, but for free, right? What you can have as well is if you want to have like a priming video, you just record your screen, use a tool like Loom, right? Have your face there, talk, and then you upload it with a Loom link. That's it, right? You want to be more fancy, put it on Vimeo or YouTube, but you don't even have to. Loom is also fine. And then afterwards, like with Calendly or whatever scheduling tool you use, we'll send you autoresponders. Customize the autoresponders. And then you get on the call. Can you go ahead and before anything happens, you pre-write the next email to them, right? You build a swipe file. And then from there, like most companies right now are using digital invoicing. So that's for me like the most basic infrastructure structure. And of course you can make it better, but like it's for free. But it's just about time and energy and knowing the messaging around it.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I mean, do you have any questions?
Yeah, since we're talking about the system, I'm just curious to know, is there like a huge distinction between people who are starting and people who are already established? So the more advanced the system is, how would an advanced system look like?
So the advanced system, you could even go at next level where when people are booking, you give them two options. What is actually your problem? You can qualify them more effectively. You can also, for example, not only like a 5-minute video, you can have a longer video where it's a bit more educational. I have one of my clients, she has a 40-minute video. And at the end of the video, whoever has the call, they buy, right? She's now at a conversion, right? Because she has optimized her ship to a point of like, this is a no-brainer ship, right? Completely no-brainer. So that's what I mean by more advanced thing. You can even go ahead, use tools like, for example, like if you have a higher level service, so like, for example, like BombBomb, which will like be a video thing. You record a video in the email to them like, hey, Nina, I'm so happy to talk to you next tomorrow. And I was looking forward to how I can help your business. I've been checking out your business. I don't have an idea what I can do together with you, right? That's what I mean by like the next level. But it's literally fundamentally the same structure. And then we improve it and tweak it and tweak it. And then we do split testing and so forth. But it really starts off with like, can you do the basics in place and then improve from there?
Okay, got it. What are some rising, is there such a thing as a rising trend with respect to remote selling? Just wondering.
Video.
Okay. So automating it with video. So that means people who have, basically it's about starting, isn't it? Then you get familiar with the whole process and then you keep getting better and better, like what you say. It's a journey, right? And it's all about learning kind of thing.
Yeah. Ooh. So we are at a commercial break again.
Yes, we're at a commercial break. You know what? I think next time we need to put up some videos during commercial break just on standby. Yeah.
Exactly.
Welcome back.
Let's put it back. Right.
Yeah, put her back. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, she's back.
Okay, I'm back. I couldn't hear your question though, but you're back.
Is there such a thing as a rising? Oh wait, we already answered that. So it's video.
Yeah.
Right? And I love that we actually send a video through an email. That's kind of new to me. I did not hear that.
That software is a bit pricey, but it's a great software. It's a bit more pricey, but it's a great software.
Okay. So are there is there any remote selling best practice?
I think we've covered them already. So it's just really about And then also just for me, that maybe the one way of looking at it is knowing your numbers of what to improve. So the first thing is like, can you track, for example, how many calls that are booked, people show up, right?
Okay.
And how can we optimize that? Second thing is how people are getting on a call, are you actually converting?
Okay. So basically it's knowing your data and improving, looking at your insights and stuff like that. Okay.
Nina, I have a question. Did you actually ask about the platform?
No, because that one she covered some platforms, but do you have any other platforms or the choice is the choice of platforms important, and which platforms should you focus on? Which works? No.
Depends on your business, but most platforms of the software, it doesn't make a difference. They're literally very similar. Like there's like the differences are minute. At one point a couple of years ago, I did like a comparison of the platforms, but now I'm just like, I'm gonna give you two choices. Pick one, do a different one if you want. But the price range is also pretty much like standardized now. It's like buying Coke, it's like the same price, wherever you buy it. Coke, Pepsi, whatever, it's gonna be around the same price. So it doesn't make a difference. It becomes like a product right now, so that people, you just buy it.
Okay.
Nice.
You guys are joining us right now. Please just say hello. If you have any questions, please let us know. Lisa is saying she loves our commercial breaks. You guys are so funny. Yeah, we do what we have to, kind of thing. But this is new. We've never had a guest who loses her voice in between, so we're going to need to get a commercial video in between. Okay. This is my favorite question. Can you share with us some disastrous examples of implementing remote selling, if there's any?
Disastrous? Because I haven't
maybe
seen...
not cool as opposed to disastrous.
No, so not cool, for example, can be the video that you put in your process, in your sales process, but this is, for me, like, I look at it as, again, telling someone off for why they're bad. And some people they don't mean to do that, but like they just don't know any better. So they'll go ahead and tell the customer why everything's shit. I'm like, I don't work with someone who tells me I'm shit about everything. Like,
Okay.
inspired by that stuff, right? So for me, it's just like, and what's really funny is when I audited their process, they weren't even aware of their choice. And in psychology and also in communication, it's like, are you using words that are pulling someone towards you or pushing them away from you? And they were not even conscious that they were actually, in their messaging, was all pushing away. So that for me is like, I don't think you're realizing it, but it's actually harmful for your business.
Actually, since pointing that out, how do you work with your clients? How do they get the copyright? Because words do matter, and sometimes what we think is a normal way of communicating, but it could really annoy people without us realizing. So what's your advice on that?
So the key thing is, again, back to the offer. Like the offer literally is the king and queen of everything with how you sell online. So for me, it's like, once you know that, once you go like quite thoroughly about the inner and outer story, then you are able to show up and say the right things. And then from there, it's tweaking. Like when I had a production agency, like what was really interesting, and in one meeting I had, like I was like, because I'm a social scientist, and everyone we hire is a social scientist, and that's why we're better storytellers. And like that guy was just like, that makes so much sense. And I went to another meeting at same angle, same reaction. I'm like, I guess this is my new messaging. So I incorporate the messaging I already have. So that's why I say, like, the reason why I love sales is that if you are interested in learning and growth and tweaking, this is like the best job. You're learning about copyright, you're learning about messaging, you're learning about influence. And it's just an ongoing journey. And I am still learning as I'm going. I've been doing this for 10 years, and I've sold millions of dollars of services, right? But at the same time, it's still, for me, super fun, because I'm just like, this is so cool.
So it's a never-ending learning. It's good. Okay, go on, Amin.
So because Yasmine was talking about offer, and I think she's been repeating it again and again and again, offer, everything is all about offer and all that, right? So I would like to know, based on your own personal experience as well, I just want to have some wisdom on this. What are the top offers that you have seen so far that really impress you?
Actually, I've seen a lot of really amazing offers, but usually what I've seen is like they're very specific, right? And that can be different industries. You can in manufacturing, you can be even, for example, in like software. Like for example, like last year I was working with the Ministry of Innovation in Estonia, and they had brought in their best performing companies. And one amazing offer was from this company that was selling wood, right? And usually when you're looking at making furniture out of wood, which is happening across Eastern Europe, crazy, right? It's seasonal, because we cut down wood and we have wood every year. So they had an offer where they're saying, like, we guarantee that we're going to fulfill it for you if you're one of our clients, or else we would give you money, right? And I'm like, for me, like, that's a level of ballsiness you have, even if in a different, like, not in like a traditional like online industry, where at the end, if I was a customer, I don't care paying the premium. I don't care about the premium, because I'm guaranteed predictability over and over again.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's ballsy. That's ballsy. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely ballsy. Do you have like a standard structure in where you kind of help your clients come up with their offer, or they need to do it themselves? How does it work when people?
So I have the remote sales kit, which is like my basic offer that people can go through, and I have my worksheet on how to think about developing an offer, and I give them the prompts and the guides to think about it. And then typically, if people want more support, they come to me for messaging. I have a program called Nail Your Messaging, which we do over 6 weeks together. It's in a group environment, or they hire me one-on-one, but that one is a much higher price point. But the key thing is that even with the remote sales kit, like you actually have enough to go ahead and start selling. Like I've had clients with amazing results from being from nowhere, because it's just a structure to think about, like, because even if you don't use all of it in your offer, you go to the meeting and you actually know, like, oh, of course, this is what we're going to do. And then you become much more confident in how you express yourself. And most people don't do that work. And they go and they're like, I don't know. Like they don't say I don't know, but the body language goes like
yeah. Which basically says, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. And this remote sales kit you were saying is your always on offer, your entry offer? Is that what you said? Okay, cool. And where can people find it in case they're looking for it?
.com.
Remote what? Sorry?
remotesaleskit.com.
Okay, there you go. remotesaleskit.com. Okay, Pauline, if you're there, please help us type it out. Now, Lisa has another question. Do you have any tips on customer aftercare? How do you follow up efficiently while still showing care?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Lisa. So that depends on your industry, and I'm guessing you're a lawyer, because I think you said lawyer earlier on.
Yeah, but I don't know if she's still a lawyer. Let us know in the comment section. Anyway, yeah.
So with customer aftercare, you just have to, it sounds really basic, Lisa, but the basic stuff people don't always do. Whatever you promise them to do,
It's a good one.
Do it.
That is a good one, yeah.
That's kind of crazy. It's just like, do it. Like one of my clients, they hired us for a program, and like when we do a program for companies, we don't only do the program, but we also edit it down into micro lessons. And it was all done as I promised within less than a week. And he's like, this is amazing. And like also it's organized in a spreadsheet, and you can copy the links and everything is there. And they have access to the back end part as well. And he's like, this is super easy. And I'm like,
okay. Well, she was a lawyer. What are you now, Lisa? Okay. And one of our students, amazing, Charlene, as always. This is our community. I think we may need to go to a commercial break now. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Lisa now teaches people how to network effectively. Okay. We got to go back there. But if you guys want to know more about Yasmine's remote sales kit, here's the link. Okay, thank you. We're back from commercial break. So Lisa was saying she used to be a lawyer, but now she teaches people how to network effectively. So what's the best way for her to continue with customer aftercare?
I love that, right? So like Lisa, what's really great about that, you network effectively, right? So you learn the skills to network effectively, but then people will have other problems, right? They might have, for example, how to manage my network effectively. And then what you can do is you can offer them extra stuff as a follow-up, complimentary, to make them realize, oh my gosh, she really cares about me. Because you can actually predict the problems before they even happen. And as long as you're doing that, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, she's amazing to work with because she is able to help me with that.
Okay, so it's always about thinking about what's next for them and providing there. And actually, to tell you the truth, one of our after sales care is actually the show, because we constantly interview people so that it helps with the community. And we're so thankful to our community for putting Yasmine's link there. Yay, you guys rock. Yeah. Okay. So we spoke so many good things about marketing, using remote selling. I think, can it go wrong? I think we sort of covered it, but just to make sure, can it go wrong? What are the things that we need to look out for?
I think if you're having that infrastructure in place, I don't think it can go wrong. You can always improve it, tweak it, and improve that conversion number. But other than that, if you make it easy and seamless, because the thing is, for me, sales storytellers are problem solvers. So we have to look at it as whenever we work with somebody, is it easy for them to work with us, right? And are we giving a problem that's of high value to them constantly? And as long as you're doing that, that's already showing up more than most people show up. Like, I know it sounds like so good to be true, but literally most people don't do that kind of basic stuff. And that's why if you're doing that right now, you're building goodwill because of the fact that you've invested in the basics. So in 6 months' time, or even in 3 months' time, you're heaps ahead of everyone else.
We absolutely agree with the basic stuff because that's what everybody else forgets. And the theme last week, right, I mean, was basic. Do the basic.
Yeah, do the basic.
Yeah, and that's what we teach our students as well. Really master the basics until it's part of you. Yeah.
Because sometimes we are living in this world where we are seeing a lot of things that looks very complicated. Then we want to aim for all that, but the basic fundamentals are being handled. So it goes back to that.
Okay. Is there a certain mindset that we need to have in order to have this remote selling thing? Just wondering, in order to prep ourselves.
This is my personal mindset that I have in everything that I do, but it served me very well. And I invite people to actually have the same mindset. I look at everything I do as a shitty first draft. Right? And it's the truth. It's a shitty first draft. For it. I have no I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, well, of course it is. It's version number 1. And for most of the things that I've done, it's now version number probably 70 or 80, right? So of course it's better because I've done it so many times. So don't compare yourself to somebody else. Just put in mind the mantra, it's a shitty first draft. Like even my game, right? This game, never a game before in my life. This is so many versions. Everyone's like, it's so professional. I'm like, do you know how many versions it's had from the design?
Hey, commercial break again.
Commercial break again. Okay, we will be coming to the end of our show, but thank you very much.
For the commercial break, we're just going to talk about, hey, peeps and students, I'm going to be sharing knowledge and tips on how to create a winning customer loyalty program, right? You can register here.
Right. Okay. So that was a fantastic commercial break because Pauline actually put up some stuff here. So yeah, thank you. Welcome back.
Welcome. I'm so confused. I don't understand what's happening, but okay.
It's okay. All right. Okay. So the mindset, know that your first draft is going to be shitty. Anything else?
I think that's the biggest thing for me.
Okay. I love that.
If you have a mindset, then you're going to be not so shameful. And most times people don't start. And if you start, you're going to be like, wow, you discover where the gaps are.
Okay. So basically just start and be shameless. And we believe in that. We actually have a hashtag in PopCon that says just langa, and it pays to be conceited. Because otherwise we don't talk about ourselves, because we got to love ourselves and share about ourselves. So it really pays to be conceited. And being Asian, we're always like, oh, no, don't talk about yourself. Yeah. So
but I definitely agree that the first draft is going to be shitty, because a lot of times when I meet up with someone for a sales pitch before this, I always have a first draft, but then it's always something that is negotiable. And I just tell them, you know what, this is just the first draft. We just want to know you first and all that. So definitely, I agree with that. 100%.
Yeah, and our videos, the first version is usually the shitty version, so it's fine.
Oh, so is that? Yeah.
Okay. This is a different question. Where do you think this? We're asking you to be a digital prophet here. Where do you think the future of remote selling will go? I mean, is it gonna stay, or is everybody gonna start picking it up, and then we've got to move to the next thing? How long do you think it'll stay, or what do you think the future will be?
I think already the big companies are already doing this very well. So one of my clients is Salesforce, and just the tools they've created are just mind blowing. From even the whole holistic 360 of how to make that experience. So there's so much that's happening. People are predicting all kinds of weird stuff, but I feel if you're just doing some basic stuff, you're going to be heaps ahead. And then I think it's going to be a shift back to wanting to meet offline a little bit, actually. It's going to be a push to online. So even, for example, in Singapore, they announced that you can have meetings up to 50 people. I think it's going to be the beginning of people, it's going to be strange wearing a mask, but I think people are missing that connection and that social engagement. But also, it's important for us to make it easy to work with us always. And the tools today, incredible. 10 years ago, my business, it was so hard. You had to hire someone. You got to program shit. Now it's just like you can buy software mostly for $10 for everything.
We kind of opened up for quite some time, so we realized that it's right now we're at this amazing stage where it's nice to have a pick of online and staying at home and going out as well. So we love having that freedom actually. Yeah. But yes, we do need to go out as well. Otherwise we'll get nuts kind of thing. Manisa has a question for you. She's asking, if you are an introvert, how do you cope with the feeling of wanting to hide yourself during the pitch? I think she missed out. Okay. Was that a commercial break as well?
There was another commercial break as well, but I think this is a good question.
Yeah, this is a very good question.
So Yasmine is back, right?
Yasmine, Manisa is asking, if you are an introvert, how do you cope with the feeling of wanting to hide yourself during the pitch? I think you missed out, the first part where there is no longer a pitch.
Yeah, but perhaps, so I don't think there's a longer a pitch. I think what's more important, actually, what I find oftentimes what happens is introverts do better because introverts are more open to listening more effectively. So this is literally, especially for remote selling, at your advantage, because in the end of the day, if you are showing up with being someone who wants to be serving, to be problem solving, and you ask and you listen to what they're saying, you don't have to pitch. It's just about learning how to do it more effectively by asking them. And that's why when I work with my trainings, I cover something called story priming, where if you're selling, it's about just literally sharing and then asking, would this be valuable for you? And if they are, they've set their hands up. They want your help. And if you don't tell them that you can help them, then you're being a selfish person because they will suffer without you.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Manisa. Okay. Amin, do you have any questions? Because I am.
I have one question.
I have the rapid fire left, but go on, Amin.
Yeah. How different is the storytelling now compared to where it was before?
Good question.
I think there's more science behind it today, because oftentimes when we talk about storytelling, people talk about like the hero's journey, and I think that's a good tool, but you can do it much more simpler, and you can do it a little bit more easier, because if you understand what the brain wants to hear, you will tell it to them that way, right? Because the more you localize it to what people want, like their situation, they're going to be much more invested in it.
I also think it's gone to another level because you now incorporate the objections into the story as well, right? So it's no longer just a hero's journey. There's also the kind of thing. I don't know how. Yeah. That one I haven't figured out because I know the hero's journey, but that sales objection is still to me. Okay, so let's go into the rapid fire round of question. I'm going to be asking you some questions, so don't think too hard. Just answer the question without thinking too much. What are the important questions businesses need to ask themselves before taking on remote selling?
They have to ask themselves, where do they want to go? Right? That's number one. And then they also have to ask themselves, who do they want to serve? Because you have to, like if I look at my 2020 strategy map for this year, what I am doing is very different to what I was doing, right? Like 10% of my business is still working with MNCs. I'm doing the training programs, but I also realized in February when the whole thing locked down, everything I was doing was offline, right? Because you have enterprise level sales, everything was offline. And I had the worst month of February, and I had to realize, who do I want to serve and where do I want to go? And I realized that what I had initially wasn't what is going to serve me for the next chapter of this future. So same thing for everyone else. Like, where do you want to go and who you want to serve?
Okay, that's a very good question. What are 3 things businesses can do right now to start remote selling immediately that they can do right now?
They can, first of all, relook at the offer. And I said this a lot. Is the offer still relevant for today? So for example, with my offer, I used to run a 2-day lab program for a sales team. So that people are not going to spend 2 days online back to back. It's exhausting. So I've had to change it. Now it becomes self-blended. There's actually watching modules. There basically is like those calls. There's also like post-the calls, like sessions where they can send me recordings of themselves. Why? Because it's had to change to work with the time. So number one is to look at the offer. Is it still relevant to your customers? I don't know. Up to your business to decide. Second thing is like looking at your current system, mapping it out, right? There's like a tool, for example, that's called draw.io, and you can literally map out your process, and you can see, what's happening with my customer journey right now. And you can ask yourself, how can I make this more efficient and make this more better? Whether, for example, it's the first booking and scheduling and having people show up to calls, can that be improved? Can I, for example, improve conversion? Can I improve, for example, upsell? Can I improve customer experience? Whatever that may be, like map it out. And then the third thing is make sure that your team is understanding and also aware of how to communicate online in a way that's engaging, because half of what we had to connect with people before isn't there anymore. Actually, more than half. 55% of people connected with body language. Now we don't have that anymore in a room, right? Mm-hmm. So upscaling your teams to be able to learn those skills, to do that much more confidently and effectively with using stories.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. Anything else you want to ask? I mean, okay, what's the one advice, if you had one advice to give brands, marketeers, CEOs with respect to selling in today's world, what would it be?
Don't pitch, listen.
Nice one. Okay.
Dengar tu Lina, listen. It's a good one. Dengar.
Okay, so with that, we'll come to the end of the session. Amin, do you have anything? What's your biggest learning from this session, if anything?
I've going back to structure, and I like what you said about offer. She emphasized that a lot. It's all about the offer. She keep on repeating that again and again. And there's this one thing that she said during the session that I kind of like, the energy and the body language. And she was talking about looking into the camera. So I was like looking back into listening, active listening. Active listening now has totally changed. You no longer eye contact, it's now lens contact. That's what you need to do.
I tend to look at the screen instead of the camera. That's my problem.
Yeah.
Most people do, by the way. So like even now, like, at the end of the day, so I'm not doing that. But if I'm meeting with someone one-on-one, I'm there. I'm literally like the same level. I'm talking to them. I'm speaking to them. I'm connecting. Because if they can feel like they're seen, their trust gets faster as well.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. This is amazing because we learned so much. For me, I'm learning the 3 things that you need. Number 1 is the offer. Number 2 is the infrastructure to support. And number 3, what was the number 3? Basically, I forgot, but I know it. Oh no, commercial break again. So what was number 3? I mean, exam for you. Infrastructure.
Wait, Yasmine's here.
Energy. Okay.
Energy first.
I remember now. It's basically matching the energy or raising the energy level and being vibrant and stuff like that. So, wow.
You want to be the charger, Nina, the charger in their life.
The Duracell, if it's still relevant, because we heard that Amazon Basic Batteries is outselling Duracell now. So the things you pick up when you're doing PopCon stuff. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much. We learned so much. And how does your class works, by the way? Is it like online or is it on auto mode?
Yeah.
So the remote sales kit is completely online. It's all on auto mode. People can watch it when they want to watch it. And then for the 6 weeks program, it's all live. So we're having an intake coming up in October. So if you want to
How often is your intake? Is it like every month or every
twice a year?
Twice a year. Okay, and it's for 6 months.
Where can they approach you? Would LinkedIn be the best place, or
just add me on LinkedIn. The key thing is to get on my email list and I can let them know more information.
Okay,
cool.
Got it. Thank you so much. It's so good. This has been long overdue because we wanted you to come, for PopCon and be one of our speakers.
I have one question though. So what's next for you? Because usually Nina asks this question. So what's next for you? What's your plan? Yeah. I know now with the lockdown and all that, you are stuck. No more traveling. Yeah, but I'm curious to know what's next for you.
Actually, for us, take the 6 weeks program, make it bigger. So right now, when we did the first intake, it was 10 people. So now what we want to do is we want to make it much more scalable so we can have hundreds of people go through the program. So I'm looking forward to just doing that and having bigger launches around that and shifting my energy to helping more entrepreneurs. Because I realized because this is like completely a personal angle, but like when I was young, my father was unemployed for 3 years. And I think right now we're entering a time where we're going to have the worst economic period that we're going to have in a very long time. And when I had to ask myself, like, what would I feel much more compelled to do? I was like thinking about what happened to us as we were growing up and how I learned to sell by mistake, right? Not intentionally. And I was like, that's more my mission, is if I can help people learn this is actually something that's not scary, we can do this more effectively, then I've made the world a better place. I made people feel better. Even have goosebumps thinking about that, because I'm just like, that's more, for me, more inspiring to do.
I think that's an amazing mission and goal to have. The fact that you're having goosebumps is just, that's it. That's for you. Okay. Thank you so much, actually.
Thank you so much, Yasmine. Yeah.
Super informative. So we will see you next time whenever we see you, but keep in touch, yeah?
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Okay,
So there you have
so-
it. I thought that was pretty insightful. I mean, I don't know about you, but we know we need to definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So before we end, what's happening the rest of the month or week rather?
Okay, just a recap. So this Saturday we are having the Intensive Killer All-Star LinkedIn profile, right?
And why should they go? I mean,
they should go because you really want to learn.
Your selling skill. Come on, you can do this.
Right? Because we are the best trainers. We are the best training in the whole world. That's what it is.
Okay, I think you need to work on your pitch. I mean, not pitch.
Okay.
We're no longer pitching. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Then okay. This is this. There's results. That's it. You go.
Okay.
Right.
So basically,
the week after
you
that.
want to position yourself as a business influencer. That's one of the best places to start. Okay. And we've produced quite a few. So yeah, come and join us. We'd love to have more people because this is what gives us goosebumps when we can make a difference in your lives. Okay. Apart from that, if you've just joined us for the first time, just Langa, the show happens every Thursday. And next week, who do we have, Amin?
We have Sujimi back, right? The godfather of.
Yeah, so Sujimi is actually a Facebook influencer, and he's going to be sharing about why every company should be a content creator before it's too late. He started as a Facebook influencer, but he's gone into a business now, and he helps other entrepreneurs become business influencers, if you like, and to start creating content. Isn't that right, Amin?
Exactly. And then a few days after that, we have Sakuna coming in. Sakuna is actually one of our students. And he will be talking about loyalty and how you can actually create loyalty for a company.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
He's the loyalty man. That's what it is.
Yes, the loyalty man. And one of the things that he actually did was one of his clients actually had a customer who claimed a Hilux truck from the loyalty program kind of thing. So I'm like, wow, I got to know about that. Okay, what else do we have?
And then the week after that, we are,
Okay, for the next two, just Langa, we are going to be talking about where's the photo gone? I mean, okay, thank you. So, Firdaus Muntaza is the founder of Bootcamp Revolusi Online. He will be talking about what is your product entry. This is basically what's your offer. This is the key to making your sales constantly, so you can be sleeping and you're still generating money. Don't we all want that? So that's happening on that date that's written there, 8 October.
On that day. Right, and then after that, we're going to go international, right? We're going to talk to Nadine.
Yeah, who'll be tuning in from New York, and this time because it's New York time, we're going to be coming on at 9 p.m. and she's going to be sharing about creating binge-worthy video content for social media. All right, so definitely want to watch that as well. So many things, so little time, and so many things to learn, man.
Exactly. So, and most importantly, join us, okay?
Yes.
In all our social media sites. Go ahead, Nina.
Okay. Please do join us on all our social media because we share not just videos like this, but we create content. We put up documents and content that's going to help you guys learn along the way. So please make sure you follow us on all the social media. So we're done for the day. We hope you learned so much. And anything else you want to add, Amin?
I'll see you guys on Saturday. That's what's gonna happen, right?
I'm
you are coming for the
Saturday. So have a good session on Saturday. I'll be there at the next one. We hope you enjoyed this session and we hope you learned so much. And if anything, hit in the comment section and let us know what you learned. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Adios. Bye.
Okay. Bye.